Hello, and welcome to the Banker's Youth from Cyboss video series, filmed on location here in Toronto. I'm Joy Macknight, Deputy Editor at The Banker, and I'm joined by Lisa Lansdowne-Higgins, who is Vice President, Business Deposit and Treasury Solutions at RBC. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
You chaired a session on the role of payments market infrastructure, but also correspondent banking in the international real-time payments world.
That's right.
What was the results of that panel, and what were the main topics?
Well, what I loved about the panel is it was really active. And what I mean by that is everybody brought a different perspective. And so with that, we brought out insights that might give us something that is more provocative to try to make us think differently. The outcomes is we had a great discussion around barriers and what barriers around regulation and how we grapple with that when we think about bringing real-time payments into the global arena. We then explored technology, what were some of the new technologies that were enabling our even thought process and how we bring this closer to reality. And then we talked about how correspondent banking has to modernize. And with that, there was a complete agreement within the audience. We did a number of polls that we actually need to do more from a corresponding banking perspective. And the likes of GPI was discussed.
Okay, so that was my next question, which is around SWIFT. Global Payments Innovation Initiative. Sort of what has been the main milestones and what is the future of that?
Well, what we love about the Global Payment Innovation is the fact that that started in Cyboss 2 years ago. And the fact that we've come together as a community to figure out how do we pilot that, how do we actually do some prototypes, and how do we make that real? And the reality is, here we are. We've launched it. We launched it last year. We all have 40 participating banks by the end of this year. And when we look about it from an RBC perspective, we're really leaning into the client experience. So how do we bring the client closer to the transparency, the tracking, the monitoring, how they all have assurance around those payments. A third of all payments we found out through GPI are settled within a half an hour. So a lot of amazing data insights and the assurity that the payment will be done same day.
Excellent. And I know RBC is also experimenting with blockchain, which is another buzz here at the conference, specifically around cross-border payments. So can you tell me the developments there?
Absolutely. It's really interesting when you think of blockchain, because blockchain, especially at RBC, is really being explored in a number of areas. Cross-border payments, absolutely. We've just launched the Hyperledger that actually does the monitoring for us in the cross-border arena. So it's the GL reconciliation and the monitoring that happens around our cross-border payments. How we move it into the cross-border payments arena, we're still exploring. We don't know. We have some collaboration going on with some of the other banks, and we're still exploring. But when we think about the power behind distributed ledger, and we look at some of the key areas of where we can really invest, operational routines, smart contracts, trade. There's been so many announcements about blockchain. We're starting to make it real. And it's going to take a while to scale, but we can definitely see the opportunity.
Okay. And Canada, like other jurisdictions, is making the move towards real-time payments. How is RBC sort of preparing itself and its clients for this eventuality?
Well, I think the great thing about payments modernization here in Canada and in collaboration with Payments Canada is that we see the need for it. Absolutely, we're looking at what real-time payments means, not only from a more consumer experience perspective, but the transformation that's in front of us in businesses. How we really break the cycle of checks, how we break the cycle of data, and I think the underlying ISO components. And everybody talks about ISO as a standard, and standards are really important. We've certainly seen that from a global interchange of international payments with SWIFT. But when we think of ISO in real time, and knowing the other geographies globally have done that, the power behind being able to do reconciliation for clients, efficiency, straight through processing will become real, but the insights of the data and being able to carry that, invoicing or otherwise, predictive analytics, being able to prepare a customer more effectively to manage their cash flow and their working capital. We see this as a huge leader.
And we're coming to the end now of Cyboss 2017. What would you say were the hot topics at the conference?
Well, you have your traditional ones, because I think cyber, as we kicked off on Monday, definitely was front and center. And it's something that, from a banking community perspective, continues to be core and really important. It's fundamental. You know, with safety, soundness, resiliency, assurity, all of that is critical. So cyber always is on the agenda for discussion. But innovation. I still remember being in Boston a couple of years ago. We ran Blockchain 101, and the arena or the room was so full, it was overflowing. So we actually had to start to do a live feed at the Swift stand. And it was like a stampede of people moving over. So now the buzz this year is we've made it real. We can touch it, we can feel it, we understand it, and we believe in the vision. So innovation in all aspects, you know, from digital identity, for trade. You know, it's so interesting to see how trade and the conversation around the extension of supply chain and how we're coming together collaboratively in this environment to explore, to learn best practices, and to really partner even more effectively with the likes of fintech.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your insights, Lisa.
No problem.